got me thinking that clients that were arriving to me were asking for microblading, but really they had a totally different vision of what the end result was going to be. So I actually felt microblading is that I need to, I need to educate you. This is my fault. I need to let you know what microblading is. People are scared of the word tattoo, and they think that it's going to be something like this. So I put a poll up last night to try to discover what was your interpretation of what the work was all about. So last night before I went to bed, I went from, oh my God, what? To, what? To, really? People don't really fully understand what they're buying into when they actually come to have eyebrow microblading done. So this morning I am going to discuss eyebrow microblading, the different types of microblading, what blading shade is all about, the different skins that are suited to microblading, what your interpretation of eyebrow microblading is, and so on. So we'll dedicate our coffee talk today to eyebrows, microblading, blading shade. All right, so we've discovered over the years that the word tattoo is, when it comes to eyebrows, is a bit of a dirty word. And a lot of people, when they discuss with their partners and say, do you know, I'm actually going to go and have my eyebrows tattooed, that their partners think that they're going to come back looking like this below. And so the word microblading became more fashionable to use instead of the word tattoo, and they're totally different treatments. So microblading is a tattoo. Blade and shade is a tattoo. Anything that goes under the skin is a tattoo. All right. So it's under the tattoo umbrella. So it's not a tint. It doesn't wash off. It's under the skin. It's a tattoo. Now, sadly, the tattoo industry is unregulated here in Ireland, so I've had to become my own regulator when it actually comes to that. But it is a tattoo. So let's be clear about that to start with. So eyebrow tattooing, what you see here, was always the case, and that was the only thing that was available to anybody who had no eyebrows. And it would be something that you would actually go to a tattoo parlor to have tattooed ink into your eyebrows, and that was the only thing that women, mostly women, had available to them up to 15 years ago. And those tattoos that those women had, because it was done with ink instead of pigments, it was a block, as you can see. It was not soft. It was harsh. There was no room for any changes or maneuverability. It was turning various shades of greens and purples, and those poor ladies, well, it was a solution to their problem at the time. But along comes microblading to the Western world, must be about 15 years ago. So microblading came to the Western world 15, 18 years ago. And I've been doing it now, coming up on 9 years exclusively. So microblading took over from the hideous tattoos that you got in a tattoo parlor, to learning this gorgeous technique that was done with, I wonder if I got mine here. It was done with a microblading tool. Look, you've seen it in the other videos, and various shades of custom blend pigments to go and match your head hair color and to match your eyebrows. All right, I found it. So this is the eyebrow microblading tool. This is Tina Davis one. This is the one that I use. And this is the brand that I've chose to use. And this is latex skin. But this is an indication as to, with this tool, we can create hair strokes that look like this. Now that's on latex. And those hair strokes replaced the whole machine tattoo of yesteryear. And it was so natural and gorgeous and ideal for people who want to have their eyebrows enhanced for whatever reason, and there are so many reasons, that the hair strokes then took over, microblading took over from the going to a tattoo parlor, whereby you still got a tattoo. It's called microblading. It enhanced your eyebrows and it created these gorgeous hair-like strokes in your eyebrows, upwards at the start, sideways at the body, and down. And because the pigments that we used, it started out with inorganic pigments back in the day when I started 8 years ago. And inorganic pigments are sheer pigments. They're designed to fade so that we've got maneuverability. When you come back annually, you can go lighter for your colour booster, you can go darker if you want to. So that's the pigments. And then ongoingly, what actually happened was we discovered over the years that eyebrow microblading with this tool was not enough for certain people and certain skins. So eyebrow microblading is not really suited to. So roll in, blade and shade. So there was another tool to this. I haven't got it here now. It's actually in clinic. So blade and shade technique then was used for people who had skin that was not suited to microblading on its own. So there's a Fitzpatrick scale when it comes to skin, 1 to 5. But people who had very big and open pored skins, people who had very fair skin like this one down here, people who had very oily skin, the microblading hair strokes never, or people who have coarse hairs, the microblading hair strokes never looked crisp and looked like strokes in those skins we had discovered. What it was doing was it was coming back as either retaining very poorly or coming back as a blurry result. So roll on and in comes blade and shade. So what happens with blade and shade is that, yes, you do the eyebrow microblading stroke in the colour that you choose, and then you use a different tool to dot in between the hair strokes in a 80-20 solution of the original colour to give more of a powdered look. And that is absolutely gorgeous for people who are looking for more definition. Firstly, some people go straight into it, they don't bother with microblading at all. But it's also ideal for people who've got problem skins and that the microblading didn't take very well initially, and that we actually will be able to get you to your end result. So there's lots of different factors. There's client request and there's times I have to, whereby I would say to you, microblading is really not a good option for you. I don't think it's going to retain very well. And it will always be, and I advise you to go for a blade and shade option. And blade and shade option, there's a more trauma to the skin, but the payoff is gorgeous. But here's the deal. When you have a blade and shade option, a lot of people leave the clinic expecting their microblading to look like this. But when they leave the clinic, it looks more like this. However, that goes through a whole period of healing and you end up looking with something like. So the healing period is over 30 days, and over the whole healing period, it actually heals off to a soft fill like this. So when I put up the poll last night, I actually thought, oh my God, I have been so guilty of not educating you when it actually comes to what microblading is all about. And in my booking system, I've actually got two options. You either book in for microblading or for blade and shade. And part and parcel of the consultation when you come to me is I usually ask you to screenshot what you loved about my work so that I have got a good idea as to what you're looking for. I also ask you to bring a photograph of what you want when it comes to shape. but shape is a totally different subject altogether. You can actually look at IGTV in relation to that. It's the technique is what I want to discover with you to see what is the one that suits your needs best. So for the most part, anybody over the age of 65 and 70, I usually do the tiniest amount of microblading in the lightest possible pigment. And oftentimes I would do shading more than microblading, because the older skins gets very thin and it receives the pigment very well. So the last thing I want is for that age group to look like as if they've been overdone. And usually what they're looking for is a light powder defect. So sometimes I might not use microblading at all. I would do shading on its own in the lightest possible colour. And that's hesitant and cautious, and it's a lovely, perfect approach for anybody who's over that age and they've lost their eyebrows to menopause. One lady said to me the other day, I don't want to leave like a clown. Oh, the poor thing. And I always say to clients, particularly when they've had no eyebrows for quite some time, particularly anybody who is over the age of 65, 60, 65, 70, 80. My oldest client is 82. So that when they come to me, I do tell them it's going to be way darker than you might like this evening and tomorrow. But it subsequently then starts to heal and soften, and a new skin grows over it. So I always start with a very cautious approach when it comes to that age group, because they need to grow into it. So when they come back for step 2, they're used to having their eyebrow when they look at themselves in the morning. They've got 30 to 60 days in between to actually get used to it. And then when it actually starts to fade off, they come back to me invariably and say, well, you know, Olive, you can up the colour a bit. So you kind of grow into it. So, and then we have the younger age group who ask for microblading because it's the trendy word to use. But in their head, they're looking for something more like this. So it's my job to educate you. Now, that isn't a look that I do on a regular basis. And the reason being is that there's loads of people around the country who can actually do that for you. Whereas I'm well known for a conservative approach. So the blade and shade option, when you leave our clinic, it will look quite dramatic for about 2 to 3 days. And then it will gradually soften off to something more like this. So there you go. I hope that helps. So part and parcel of your consultation when you come to us in Browteak, and the consultation takes a half hour, as does the draw. So the draw is a different topic. The pigment colours is a totally different topic. But it's the type of work that you want done on your eyebrows is very dependent on a lot of things. It's dependent on your age. It's dependent on the look that you're looking for. And it's also dependent on the skin type that you've got. So you might come in looking for something, and together we'll work to get that for you. But if your skin is not suitable, there's no point in looking for microblading if blade and shade is the only option that is best suited to you and your skin. Yeah. So together we will work together. And for anybody who's anyway hesitant and they're really not sure what they're looking for, I suggest you book in a consultation, a proper hours consultation. This way there's no misunderstandings, and that you have a vision as to what you're looking for. I, in my mind's eye, will know what your vision is. We'll work together and we'll get you to where you need to go, and through education. So anybody who comes to my clinic are advised to bring their pencils and powders that they use at home, because oftentimes people are looking for a makeup look, probably something similar to what I have. Mine is a blade and shade treatment, whereby you have a makeup look all the time, whether or not you wear makeup. So it's a soft powder fill. That's what I have. A lot of people, particularly the over 60, 65, when they actually come into my clinic, the first thing they say is, oh God, I don't know, do I want eyebrows like yours? And I always say to them, what I do is not what I have. So anybody who is cautious, very cautious, we recommend that you go for the microblading option to start with, and we can always add blade and shade at a later date. People who have absolutely no eyebrow hair at all, people who are post chemotherapy, we usually recommend that you go for microblading to start with, and then if your skin doesn't hold it very well, we can actually go for the blade and shade option after that. Or people who've got alopecia. Anybody who has alopecia, you're best going for the microblading option, because the microblading hair strokes can be seen better in alopecia skin. The skin changes when you've got alopecia, and oftentimes the retention with a machine brow doesn't hold well at all, particularly people with alopecia, and we usually advise for you to go for microblading, but you do need to refresh nearly every 6 to 9 months. Alrighty, so just to wrap this up, a consent form is sent out to you when you express an interest of having your eyebrows tattooed. And remember, you are having a tattoo. Our medical consent form is 7 pages long. And the reason that is sent out is just not to make your life difficult, but it is to help us decide which is the best technique for you. We really need to know your drug therapy and what drugs you're on, and that will also help us decide what technique is best for you. Your skin type is also very important, and what products you use from a medication point of view, but also from what topically you put on your skin on a daily basis. And we do a skin analysis as well at your consultation to see which is the best option for you. So yeah, okay. And really, finally now, if you have a medical history that you think, oh my gosh, I wonder, should I go for a consultation? If you have skin that you feel that maybe you looking for microblading, but you think that it's not going to work for you. If you have any concerns, or if you're anyway cautious, if you have a medical condition, I urge those people to come for a proper consultation. It's a whole hour long, whereby we can discuss your drugs, we can discuss your skin, we can discuss your concerns, we can discuss what's the best option for you. And therefore, you're not in for a huge surprise when you arrive to me to have the work done, and then I say something to you, well, actually that option is not best suited to you. Yeah, so you can actually take that lovely cautious approach. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have any concerns, whatever, please either arrange a consultation or arrange a callback. You can book a callback on our booking system here. The link is in the bio. Or book in for a consultation where you can have your a proper chat with me face to face. You don't have to come to me to the clinic. You and I can do a FaceTime. So, but you do need to book that time in the booking system, and I'll give you your exclusive FaceTime or Zoom consultation on the phone, so that we can actually discuss your concerns. All right. I hope that made sense. I'm so passionate and I know exactly what I'm dealing with, and oftentimes we tend to forget it's the real nursey thing that people don't understand. And that's that's our fault. And to the person who doesn't understand what microblading is all about, and who doesn't understand that it is a tattoo, and doesn't understand, the difference between microblading, microshading, a powder fill, a natural look. Most people actually say, yeah, I really want I want a really natural look. And then when they get the natural look, they don't want that at all. Or I want a light powder fill, and when it's done, they leave the clinic looking with eyes out on stalks, going, oh, sweetest Lord, she's overdone it. But once the healing is done, and that takes 30 days, you've gotten your light powder fill. All right. Book in for consultation.